morning. We're going to have more conversations, different parts of the Republican conference. I think we're going to be able to come together pretty quickly, have a new leader, and then go ahead and anoint a new speaker, and then go and do our business.
Okay, that was Florida Congressman Byron Donalds last hour as House Republicans scramble to rally around a new leader to figure out who that person's going to be after an unprecedented vote to unseat Kevin McCarthy, to vacate the speaker. And that is what happened last night, the first time in American history. And it was largely orchestrated by Matt Gaetz, and then he was able to get 8 members of the GOP. They only have a 4-seat margin in the GOP, so very thin. They joined him with a final tally of 2016 to 210. Ken Buck of Colorado is one of those 8 lawmakers. He serves on the House Judiciary and the Foreign Affairs Committees, and he joins us now. Congressman, thank you for being here this morning. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
So, you know, given the numbers, right, the way that this was pulled off was by you folks voting alongside the Democrats in the House in order to get this done. How does that sit with you? Because obviously, you know, Kevin McCarthy said the Republicans can't function this way if every time someone gets disgruntled, they can throw their hat in the ring with all of the Democrats and basically shut down the Republican agenda.
It's rich that Kevin McCarthy would suggest that conservatives like me and Andy Biggs and Matt Gaetz are working with the Democrats on something. When he needed to pass a debt ceiling bill, he went to President Biden, agreed to a number that was $200 billion more than he promised the Republican conference, and relied on Democrats to pass that debt ceiling bill. When we were nearing a shutdown, he lost 90 votes from the Republican conference because the bill was so terrible, and he relied on Democrats to pass that bill. This is a situation where there were 8 Republicans who were fed up. There were dozens more who would have voted for this, but didn't need to. They didn't need to stick their necks out. They didn't need to make everybody in this town mad. There were some of us that felt so strongly about spending, about the irresponsibility of having $36 trillion of debt at the end of next year based on the deal that Kevin McCarthy cut, that we stood up and did something about it.
So their plan was to continue to go through these appropriations bills over the course of the next several weeks and break them down and get them done. He obviously has a very tough situation. He had a tough situation because the numbers are such that it's hard to get, you know, real spending cuts across the table. You have to have the Senate and the House in order to get that kind of leverage. The New York Post this morning, you know, is indicative of several editorials are out there, and I saw Stephen Miller with similar language last night, former Trump advisor. He said this is a staggering act of stupidity and self-destruction. Given that this is all anyone is talking about today, rather than Ukraine spending or cutting spending in D.C., do you still think this was a good move? And what's your plan? What are you guys going to do next?
It was absolutely a good move. It was a necessary move. Martha, you know, the idea that we were going to start dealing with appropriations bills, we knew September 30th was on the calendar back in January when Kevin was elected Speaker. We could have brought appropriations bills to the floor and passed appropriations bills in June and July. Could have stayed here in August and done those. But nope, we don't pass appropriations bills until the week before the shutdown was imminent. We passed 3 during that week. Then we have the shutdown hanging over our head, so we had to cut a deal with the Democrats to get more spending, not less spending, more spending than we had even this past year.
Well, Congressman, I think a lot of people are sympathetic to that and would like to see, you know, some regular order. Can you tell them why it doesn't happen? Because I've covered too many of these shutdowns, and it does always come to the last minute. So why didn't that happen? Why weren't you all working on these bills all throughout the summer?
There's a very simple reason for it. The special interest groups in Washington, D.C. want to make sure that the Speaker and the leader in the Senate write the appropriations bill. They want an omnibus bill passed on Christmas Eve so that they can throw everything into it. We get those omnibus bills. It's a single spending bill as opposed to the 12 spending bills that we break the government down into. We get that 3,200, 3,400 page bill the night before we have to vote on it in the morning. So we'll get it 9 o'clock at night and vote on it at 9 o'clock in the morning. And all of the secret spending that they want is contained in that. They don't want transparency with 12 appropriations bills.
Understood. So Representative Jordan has confirmed that he will run for Speaker. Who is the person that you support to be the Speaker? How quickly can it happen? And how can you convince the rest of the listeners and your party that something's going to change under one of these new leaders?
Well, first of all, I don't know who all is running at this point. This has happened. You know, people are starting to announce today and starting to make phone calls and talk to folks. So I'm not ready to announce who I'm supporting right now. But I am confident that on Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, we will have a speaker. We will start putting appropriations bills back on the floor, and we'll be in a position where the House appropriations bill will be conservative. The Senate appropriations bill will be liberal and a much higher top line, and that's when the compromise happens. That's when the negotiation starts.
All right, Congressman Ken Buck, one of the 8 who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy yesterday, is like something we've never seen before, and we'll see what happens next. Why is everybody going home when you're in the middle of this very important situation? Can you tell me that?
I cannot tell you that. Patrick McHenry was named the Speaker Pro Tem, slammed the gavel down last night, and we got a notice soon after that everybody was that we weren't going to reconvene until Tuesday. I'm here. I'm going to stay here and do my very best to work through this.
Yeah, kind of unbelievable. It's hard to imagine a company that would succeed if they were in the middle of this kind of crisis and they send everybody home. But you are there, as you say, sir. So we thank you for spending time with us this morning. Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.